Thanks for having me, everybody. You have a beautiful community. I got here about 9 a.m. this morning and was greeted with so much love, and it's so nice to come to a spiritual center that understands that what a spiritual center is to be a center for spiritual truth. There are so many where perfection is what's needed. Everyone's running around and trying to make the show perfect. But this is a place that truly feels like you are all dedicated to choosing love, that you are a spiritual community coming together to remind each other that love is the choice to make as oftentimes as we can remember. And I understand how challenging it can be to remember to choose love, especially when events unfold over the course of the week as they have, when bombs are sent through the mail to politicians, and when spiritual communities are being threatened and hurt. I understand how challenging it is to remember to choose love, but all of you showed up today to choose love, so you should definitely be grateful for yourselves for making that choice and being committed to being a voice for love. So what the Centers of Spiritual Living themselves are all about is to create this space to remind each other, to remind from an individual level that the universe, that we have an unlimited power of potentiality, that no matter what is happening in the world, we can always choose love. And it is not a value that is embedded in American culture in general. I work in television, and there's a lot of messages in television about violence, about division, about fear. And honestly, it's what sells. It's what gets people turning the channel on and keeping them engaged. I had the pleasure of, I'm a teen mentor at the Global Truth Center in Westlake. And there was a Halloween party this weekend where we watched the movie Wrinkle in Time. And Wrinkle in Time is a great example of a film where there is no violence at all whatsoever. And at the very center of the film, there's a young biracial girl. We've never seen that in American blockbusters before. $100 million film with a mixed race girl at the center of it. And as I'm watching this movie with these children, actually, I was going to say most of them white, but all of them were white. There was a lot of confusion around this biracial child at the center. There were comments made about her nose, which I found incredibly shocking, and things along the lines of just really noticing that the lack of violence made the movie not entertaining, which is an interesting conversation to have with a group of children at church. And afterwards, I was grateful to have been there, to be able to say, as a mixed race person, this is how I felt as I heard these comments. And it's something to think about as you engage in dialogue around these sorts of films, that this is what this is for. We get to think about the way that we engage in media differently. We get to have a space where we consciously have conversations around movies like this, and really wanting to make a choice to support films that are nonviolent, that are addressing what's a different way of looking at things. And in this movie, Wrinkle in Time, it's basically, if you've ever seen the movie or read the book, it's this idea that you can wrinkle time to have a different relationship with the universe, that you can experience the universe from a place of love, and that the way to travel through the universe is to choose love, which is a really out there kind of message for a children's film. And as you can see in the Rotten Tomatoes version of it, when they did the reviews of it, it was this question of, is this a good movie? Because it's told in a very quiet, simple, nonviolent way. But communities like this, movies like that, really help advance the dialogue around those things. And I specifically chose to work in television because I wanted to be a voice for positive change. And that felt really kind of an impossible task for me. I came to the Centers for Spiritual Living because it was a place, an environment that told me that whatever I believe, I can achieve. If I want to be someone who uses the television industry, the medium of television, to inspire positive change, that regardless of the fact that I'm living in Chicago, that's where I was at the time, the Bodhi Spiritual Center in Chicago was my first introduction to the Centers for Spiritual Living. And it demonstrated for me that when I choose to believe in myself, if I can, my wife Ronnie and I, she was my girlfriend at the time that I made this decision to get in the car and move to Los Angeles and pursue my dream to work in television. And when I arrived here, I didn't know what to do. You know, you get in the car, you move here, and then it's now what? I don't know anybody here. Lots of people want to work in television. I was not the only one who moved across the country to make this effort. And I got an unpaid internship and felt like I would figure it out as I went along. And it was an extreme struggle for me. And so the way that I dealt with it was, because I wasn't manifesting what I wanted to manifest, I took more classes at the Center for Spiritual Living. I asked more questions. We say in the song says that it's as simple, the secret is, if you believe, you achieve. It's as simple as that. And I was believing and wasn't achieving anything. And I'm grateful. It's funny that today the theme for your month is about visioning, the future of visioning, because I really had a difficult relationship with visioning itself, that I was so clear, I want to use television for positive change. What better reason is there to choose television than this? Surely the universe must support me in this decision. I'm in a spiritual community that tells me the universe supports me in this decision, on top of the fact that I know that I'm doing this from a place of love. Why is this so hard for me? And so I showed up every Sunday asking this question to my minister: why is this so hard for me? What am I doing wrong? Why haven't I manifested what I'm trying to manifest yet? And did everything that I could. So the first moment that I had a realization, a manifestation of a full-time job in television, specifically because I wanted to use TV for positive change, I would only, scripted TV is my passion, but if I had to work in reality TV, it would have to be a production company that was producing positive programming. And so I decided, there's a production company called Studio Lambert, which produces the show Undercover Boss, and that's my favorite example of an unscripted show that teaches love. It's about people are CEOs of a company that go undercover at their company and really learn what it's like to be on the ground floor, and they're often inspired by what their employees go through and make some decision, like to give a single mom a whole lot of money, or giving people a promotion. They're just inspired to make different choices, and it's one of those tearjerker kinds of shows. So in my mind, if I was going to work for a production company that produced reality TV, that would have to be what it was. But like I said, was struggling, was not able to manifest what I wanted to manifest. And so I made it all the way to practitioner class. Still hadn't been able to manifest what I wanted in my life. And we had this assignment that was, what condition in your life do you have that you don't want? And what belief do you have that created it? And I had never asked myself that question before. It was always, if I believe it, it should manifest. So there is something in my subconscious, something somewhere that says that I'm not equal to this experience, that I'm not doing what I want to do because of my belief. And so I spent the week trying to identify what belief that could be. And I can't even say it was one in particular. I'm sure the process of doing the homework and going through my beliefs, what do I believe that's preventing me from this, created this shift. But by the time that I decided on a belief and was reading the prayer, because that was what the assignment was to read the prayer in practitioner class. And so I spoke the prayer, and as I was speaking it, my phone vibrated in my pocket. And this was like 9 p.m. And the president of Studio Lambert said, "Are you still looking for a job?" And so I was like, okay, science of mind, this is it, this works, I get it. So I got that job, and same thing though, I really wanted to work in scripted. Yes, I'm grateful to have finally gotten a full-time job, but I came here because I wanted to use story for positive change. I didn't want to just follow people around with a video camera and hope something inspiring happened. I wanted to be somebody involved in developing these kinds of stories. And so I continued on my practitioner classes. That was the whole point of it for me, was to learn how science of mind works, how to apply it to my life the way that I wanted it to. And went all the way through ministerial school and still had not manifested this experience that I was looking for. And the moment that I completed my ministerial program, I ended up at a company called CAA, which is a It's like a massive Hollywood agency that represents the biggest talent in the world. Beyonce, her agent is at CAA. So that kind of place. And the moment that I walked into there was the same moment that I finished my ministerial class the week before and started at CAA the very next week. And my intention was, I came to this place so that I can finally do what I wanted to do. Even though I wasn't working in scripted television, I knew CAA was the place to go to get to where I wanted to be. It was a intentional stop along the journey. And it ended up being exactly what I intended it to be. But at the time, the focus was not to be a minister. I was just telling Tony that this morning, that I completed the program, was at CAA, and the place in general is just a very, how do I describe this in a way that's graceful? It is. Intense is a great, thank you. You're familiar with it. In some way. It's intense. And so at the same time that I'm in this environment that's very it's tense in general. It's intense and tense. And I was basically, somebody called me out of the blue and said, hey, can you come? Actually, it was the very first talk that I gave was after I completed my ministerial program, like on a Wednesday. And then the following Sunday, the minister at the Global Truth Center said, hey, while I'm out of town, could you give that talk that you gave for your ministerial panel? So he made it really easy. But at the time, the Orlando pulse shooting had just happened that same Sunday that I woke up. So it's my very first talk, and I know I have to address this in some kind of way. And I did it, and it was fine, just like I did today. Really just say, let's choose love, and know that there is a loving energy at all times. And so it went well, but what happened is more spiritual centers started calling me and asking me to come speak. And I realized that I couldn't be in this intense environment and choose tension and then show up on a Sunday and say, choose love. That was sort of counteractive to what I had going on. And so I was really placed with this understanding that I had to choose love at all times, that I could not stand here and say, choose love in the face of fear when I wasn't making the same choice. So I truly leaned into choosing love. And what happened around me is that my role changed, my experience of CAA changed. It went from a place of intensity and fear to lightness and joy, just my one row. And sometimes I go back to visit and that same row is still light-filled and fun. And it really demonstrated to me how choosing love can have a significant effect on your world. And that the way light works is when you show up and shine light in one area, what you do is you give other people the opportunity to do the same, and then those people shine light wherever they are, and it allows this opportunity for love to ripple in areas where it hasn't before. So what's happened is that each one of you has decided to choose love, and each one of you has the opportunity to truly rise up in whatever environment, whatever context that you're in, to shine your light brighter than ever before, to be a voice for peace when it feels like things aren't peaceful, to know that you are an ocean of peace, as you sang earlier today, an ocean of love, that's what each one of you are. I recognize that when we look at America, like I mentioned how the TV industry, film industry has a tendency to express messages of violence, that feeling like a voice for love can feel very singular and isolated. It's challenging to truly rise into that place of knowing that you are love regardless of what's happening around you. And it's easy to feel small. But what happens is so many significant experiences in American history has come about because one person decided to rise up. Because one person said, I'm going to choose love and be a voice for peace, and may not have felt qualified to have done it at the time. I very much promise you that being at a center in Santa Clarita and it being announced that you all love Ron and I've got big shoes to fill would be very intimidating for me. But what's happened is that I had basically I was treated with love and compassion everywhere I went, because I was a part of a spiritual community of people who say what we do is we choose love. And so even though every time I stood up to speak, I was nervous every single time, that was why I never anticipated being a minister, because I was not trying to stand in front of a group of people and say anything. I was just trying to be active and really figure out how to achieve my dreams, how to get my goals to manifest. And so what happened for me is, after having been at CAA for about 14 months, I ended up at Viola Davis's production company. And my desk was in the front and had this big sign in front of me that said, "Dream big, dream fierce." And so I could not walk into that place every day and not be reminded that I have the opportunity to choose to rise up and dream big and dream fierce, not think of myself as somebody who's small or not able to make any significant and powerful change. But this is what I'm here to do. And when I align myself with somebody like Viola Davis, somebody who is known as having made a significant impact and been a voice for love and peace in an industry where that's not so prevalent, I had the opportunity to work with writers and directors and talent of coming up with scripted stories, which I'd always wanted to do, to move the conversation forward and encourage love instead of fear. One of the shows that we actually, just this week, my wife and I were at a award ceremony for the Innocence Project. And the Innocence Project is an organization. There's one in California. I think they have them all over the country, and one specifically was the California Innocent Project that we went to. And our company produced a show on ABC called Last Offense that was about two people who are on death row and were literally on their last offense and said that they were wrongfully convicted. And the purpose of the Innocence Project is to help provide visibility to people who are saying, I've been wrongfully convicted, I need help, I do not belong in prison. And the organization brought these cases to us, and we produced a TV show about it on ABC. And one of the cases, the case of Julius Jones is getting a new trial specifically because of the show. So it demonstrated to me that one can use TV to change someone's life in a positive way. And the Innocence Project is this organization that's dedicated to helping people, and they had people who were there that had been wrongfully convicted and been in prison for some 18 years that have been in this ongoing struggle to prove their innocence. And even though you look at a case like that and say, what a shame, what a tragedy, what these people are doing are demonstrating that our justice system is broken and that our justice system needs some love, some light, some visibility, people who show up, who can forgive what's happened to them, and that choose love and be grateful for the fact that they now get to live the free life that they know they deserve to live. And the Innocence Project specifically has people who are giving their time. They are volunteering their time to help resolve these cases, while at the same time the lawyers themselves are law professors, and they donate all of their time to campaign and serve on, it's not trial, but serve as representation for these people for their appeal to get them released. So each one of us, whatever it is, whatever area that we are called to, can choose love and know that the universe supports us no matter what. It can feel like an area that is so big. The television industry was so big, and I had no idea how to get there and how to get into it. And I'll honestly say that I personally believe that my struggle took me as long as it did, that I had to fail as hard as I did to become a minister. I would have never become a minister if I wasn't failing. But I recognized that the universe, some part of me somewhere, decided that I needed to be one, or else I wouldn't have answered the call when the phone was ringing. And I created my own spiritual space. It's actually called Spirit Uncensored. So there's curse words in it. If you ever show up, know that they'll be there. Because in my mind, if God is everything and everywhere, God must be uncensored. And I will note, I'm not really the one doing the cursing. Once you create a space and say, this is a spiritual center where you get to express yourself as authentically as possible, people express themselves as authentically as possible. That's just how it goes down. So, but I didn't intend to create the space. It was that I was working for Viola Davis and around all kinds of people who really wanted to know how I did this. How do you show up as light, as love at all times? And I would be in Santa Clarita or Bakersfield or Simi Valley, somewhere where in LA it just feels a million miles away, because 10 a.m. is already hard. And 10 a.m. far from LA is a lot to ask of somebody. And so I decided to create a space that was monthly just to address that. And at my first service, I had 65 people and went, okay, there's something here. I have something to say, and I just need to embrace that. I need to choose to rise up and address the fact that my decision to live authentically, to live honestly, to choose love in every area, in every place that I go, inspires other people to do the same. And other people want to show up and be loved too. They want a space where they can be reminded of that. And so I made the decision to embrace that. And truly, it's interesting to say 2 years into being a minister that I've now embraced the fact that I am a minister, that it's like, okay, this is just who I am now. This is what I do. But that's what the universe does, is sometimes when there's an intention and it's not manifesting, what's happening is there is something there for you to be doing that you just may not recognize at the time. So if I could have ever gone back and told myself anything, it would have been to choose love in those moments. To, instead of focusing on the fact that I was feeling and not manifesting what I thought I should be manifesting by that point, that there is a good here. And that at some point, I will be able to see the purpose in all of this. Because I know that I'm showing up as love. I know I'm embracing truth and studying how to be loved more than I've ever been before, that this will pay off, that this is paying off, and there is a greater experience in this. But it's so challenging to see when we have a vision board and that this stuff on the vision board isn't manifesting. I had because like I said, it was like 6 years before I manifested what I wanted to manifest, that for 6 years it was, I'm looking at this vision board and it's reminding me every day that I have not manifested what I wanted to manifest yet. And there's only one thing on it. I wanted to be a development executive, and I am now. But at the time, that was what I was going for, and there was nothing I can do to make that happen. But the universe I didn't need to know the how. That's what it was all about. There was nothing I could have done. The way that I ended up at this company was I was in the elevator at work, and Julius Tennant, who's Viola's husband, just introduced himself to me in the elevator. Like, who does that in elevators? You've all ridden in elevators. Have you ever introduced yourself to anyone in there before? No one is raising their hand. I certainly haven't. And so, and I thought he was Viola's husband, but it's knowing Viola's husband by name, it just wasn't a name that was burned in my mind. So I thought that's who he was, and I'd had dinner with somebody from his company before, and I couldn't remember which one. I didn't remember the person's name. It was not even a dinner I'd been invited to. I'd run into someone and said, "Why do you look so sad?" And she said, "Oh, I've got these dinner plans, and whoever's supposed to come with me is not coming." And I said, "Well, you don't have to be sad. I will come to dinner with you." It was an easy thing to do. And so I'd met somebody from the company and said, "Hey, I met someone from the company." Turned out it was somebody completely different than the person he was describing, and we laughed about it in the elevator, and I moved on. I sent an email to the person I'd actually met and said, "Hey, ran into Julius. FYI, I'm looking for a job in scripted TV as either like a writer's assistant or something like that." And he said, "Well, we've got an office manager position open if you're interested." And I ended up there in less than a week and was promoted in about 8 months to a TV executive. And in my mind, at that point, I'd kind of given up because I'd been working in this industry as an assistant for 6 years. And it felt like, because I had 0 scripted experience, and I was probably going to have to be an assistant for like 5 more years. And that was not something I wanted to do. And a practitioner friend of mine said, "I think you've put limitations on how your industry operates. And that you've put limitations on the fact that God is more powerful than that. It doesn't matter what the norms are in your industry. That when you choose to think of yourself, if what you want as an executive TV position, you can experience that, you can attract it. And I ended up at Juvie less than a week later and was promoted very quickly after that. So I say all of this to say that rising up gives each of us both the opportunity to, both of us, all of us, the opportunity to experience the life of our dreams that we've always wanted. And on top of that, invites other people to do the same. Telling somebody, demonstrating to people that when you choose to live the life of your dreams, not only does the universe support you in that, but that when you make the decision to support your own community, when the life of your dreams isn't just manifesting more money for you or a bigger house for you, it's things like, I want to give. Because the universe is a giving and receiving universe. It's not, there was this thing in the, so I have this in the read, I love this is right here. No, this is from last week. I've got something in my pocket. There was something in the reading about choosing love. Oh, you're awesome, thank you. It is, blah, blah, blah. The God of love cannot hear the prayer of the one who fails to love. And that's the idea behind it. The fact that we cannot know the truth for ourselves if we are failing to love. And I love that that's embedded in the fabric of the universe itself, that love is required. And so when each of us chooses to live the life of our dreams, we have to be choosing love at the same time. It can be love for ourselves, it has to be love for ourselves, but we have to be giving love in return. We have to participate in the world, and we also have to trust that regardless of how big the goal is and how small that we feel, each of us are supported by the universe, and the universe has the same objective as we do, to spread love, to know love. And so I am so grateful that each of us have shown up here today to do that. And I like to end my talks in prayer, so I want to invite you all to get comfortable in your seats. Take a moment to feel the chair supporting you, trusting that what is happening in this moment is exactly what is supposed to be happening. That the support of this chair is a perfect reminder of the universe itself supporting us at all times. And that each one of us has the divine opportunity to choose love in this moment, in all moments, to speak of love, to be light, and show up as such. And just as the chair and gravity are supporting us, the universe is supporting us with this decision. That as we love, love is revealed. There is no problem too big, no issue too insurmountable. The universe has our backs at all times. So I know that as each one of us decides in mind to rise up and choose love from a greater place of understanding, the universe instantly demonstrates that every experience that we are going through right now is part of our divine journey. There is no moment of it that is not divine. And I am so grateful for the divine design of the universe itself that creates the opportunity to reward love with love, to reward joy with joy, to reward peace with peace. And grateful for each person who has shown up here to know that more fully and deeply than ever before. I'm so grateful to know this, to release this word, and let it be so, as together we say, and so it is. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.